Happy Huddle Monday. Thank you, everyone, for joining us one more Monday. Let's clap yourselves up. Clap yourselves up. I know it's a holiday for some. For others, it's not. Who knows why President's Day originally, which president did it begin with? Anybody know? Dan? Yeah, you're right. Say it. Who is GW? George Washington. Okay, so Dan, let's clap Dan up for knowing that. All right. Some people don't recognize that. A lot of people recognize President Obama as our forever president, of course, with the National Action Network. That's who we celebrate. But happy President's Day to those who are celebrating, and thank you for taking the day on and joining us here at the House of Justice, because most people had the day off. So clap yourselves up for being present, and thank you for being here for another Huddle Monday. All right, as we always, we're going to open up with prayer from our very own. One second, we have some shifting happening. From our own brother Ernest Waters. Let's clap him up as he prepares to take us to the throne of grace. Following the opening prayer will be the scripture by our own Damien, and then we will have the Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing, which will be led by Brother Daniel, and we're going to all join him. All right, Brother Waters?
Good evening, everyone. The prayer today is coming from John 3:16. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. So therefore, we look upon God when we pray. Prayer is sincere. It comes from the heart. In Proverbs it says, trust in the Lord with all thy heart and lean not to thy own understanding. That means sometimes that we see things or we believe things as a human being that are not coming from God. So when we give our heart to God and we pray, God hears us and touches us and shows us the way or word. So with that, we will pray. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Forgive us this day our daily bread, and forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the power and the glory forever and ever and ever. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Let's clap him up. Thank you. Let's clap him up. You can do better than that.
And thank you, Sister Ashley. And the scripture today will be, Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee. Trust in ye the Lord forever, for in the Lord Jehovah everlasting strength, for he bringeth down them that dwell on high, the lofty city. He layeth down it low. He layeth it low even to the ground. He bringeth it even to the dust. The foot shall tread it down, even the feet of the poor. And the steps of the needy, the way of the just is uprightness. Thou most upright dost weigh in the path of the just. And that is Isaiah 26, 3-7, King James. Thanks be to God.
Dan?
Please join me in song as we sing the National Black Anthem. Ooh, lift every voice and sing to the heaven, the harmonies of liberty. Let all rejoice, higher the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the about the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song for the hope that the presence will rise, facing the rising sun of a new day. Be God, let us march on till victory is won. Let us march on till victory is won. Amen.
All right, thank you for that. All right. So, and I know there was some uproar during the Lift Every Voice and singing of the National Action. Sorry. So if everyone wants to help Dan and join us up here singing, we want you to come and join Dan so he doesn't have to lead it by himself. All right, so we encourage you, if you can sing, if you have that talent, to come and join us in the beginning to learn the song, which is Lift Every Voice and Sing. Everyone should know it anyway. It's the National Black Anthem. But we encourage you to join us and join Dan, and we appreciate you, to our creative contributor, for leading us with that. All right, so now next is our announcements and action alerts. I'm going to give you some brief announcements, and then Patrice, who is our National Crisis Director, is also going to give us a crisis report, and then we will have our Black History Fact. All right? Good evening to the young people who have just joined us. Good to see you again this week. Clap yourselves up. And thank you, Mommy, for bringing them. All right. So, who can help us? Help me out first. Who knows when the NAN convention is? What are the dates? Alexis. April 2nd to the 5th. That's right. And what days of the week is that? Wednesday through Saturday. Thank you, Coco. All right. So, who's registered in the building? Me too. All right, that's like 80% of us. Excellent. All right. How do we register? Shout it out. NationalActionNetwork.net, or what's the other option, Treese? Call 877-626-4651. That's right. Take your registry. That's right. There you go. All right. So we will make sure you guys are registered before you guys leave. It's free, so you don't have to pay anything. It's free $99. And who knows what the theme this year is? Anybody know? Being a light in the darkness is the theme this year. So being a light in the darkness, and no matter how dark anyone who thinks it is, we are the light. So that's why that is the theme for this year. Let's clap that up. Reverend Sharpton laid that out for us, and he's going to lay out the agenda. Not only is he going to lay out the agenda for that, there's going to be the clear announcement for our DEI boycott. Everyone has been asking about the list and what is going on. Some people have already has their own list. Dominique is going to share. The NAACP dropped their list this weekend, but we are waiting. We're up to, I believe it's 70 days now. He announced it. No, it's a little more than that. It's a little less than that, excuse me. But he announced Reverend Sharpton announced on the 20th, on King Day, that we were having the boycott and that we were going to be announcing all of the companies who we will be boycotting as far as our DEI boycott. So we're looking forward to that at the convention. We are looking forward, of course, to Saturday, which is Youth and College Day, but we are looking forward to the entire convention. But we encourage you to bring your young people on Saturday. And all people from all over the country will be there. Our National Action Network leaders will be present. So we just encourage you to be present, to be active. That Thursday, everyone should be present for the DEI action. DEI Thursday last year was huge, and it was a great effort. Everybody, all of our national leaders helped to lead it with Coordinator Ron. So make sure you have your boots ready to be outside, not just inside listening, all right? All right, so remembering Sonia Massey. Reverend Sharpton and the National Action Network took a moment to honor the life of Sonia Massey on what would have been her 37th birthday. Massey was shot and killed by an Illinois sheriff's deputy in her own home after she called for help last July. NAN has called for justice for Massey and her family since the beginning. We joined attorney Ben Crump and the Leadership Network in Chicago as they stood alongside family and friends for remembering Sonia Massey rally in August. While Massey's family recently agreed to a multi-million-dollar settlement, it is not enough to fill the extreme void left by the loss of their beloved Sonia. We at NAN will continue to call for justice and for reforming a policing system that still allows such horrific incidents to occur. Amen? All right, so please keep the Massey family in your continued prayers and actions. Who knows what week we are on in the fight for DEI as far as our DEI Thursdays actions that I just spoke about? 59, all right, Winston. All right, Winston must be outside. All right, let's clap that up. That's more than a year. And can anybody from this front circle tell me what DEI stands for? Hold on. She said it. Say it, you was right. You did it. Go ahead. Diversity. Hold on, I'm gonna give you the mic.
Diversity, equity, and
Help her out. Come on, friends. And inclusion. Let's clap them up. All right. Young ladies, y'all are listening. And we hope to get you out. Well, y'all have school, but maybe when you don't have school, we'll get you guys to come to the DEI Thursdays with us from one Thursday. That would be great to have the young people lead that, right? Right, all right. Last but not least for my Action Alert announcement, is Dominic here? Yes. Reverend Sharpton walked the red carpet this week with his eldest daughter, Dominique Sharpton, for the opening night of Redwood, a new Broadway musical starring Idina Menzel. Dominique is a co-producer of the show alongside her best friend, Haley Swindle. Redwood, quotes, explores the lengths and heights one travels to find strength, resilience, and healing. The entire National Action Network team congratulates Dominique and Sharpton Swindle Productions. So let's clap that up once more. Okay, so that wasn't my last announcement. I apologize. I jumped. Okay, so does anyone know what is happening this Friday in Harlem at the Shabazz Center? That was a major hint. Besides Dominique, anybody else? Alexis? Okay. Okay, so it is the 60th commemoration of Malik El Shabazz. Anybody know who that is here? In the front circle, not the elders and adults. Anybody know who that is? Damien, Danielle? That is the daughter of... No, that is him. What is the commemoration? I said his whole name. I'm trying to make... I didn't say... Commemoration of Malcolm X. There you go. So, Malcolm X. No, he's not a junior. Malcolm X. So basically, the 60th commemoration, that's a big deal. We always go, we're always a part of it to honor the life and legacy of Malcolm X. Yes, we are in the tradition of Dr. King, but Malcolm X's picture is right there. This is a house where we respect his brilliance and his legacy and all that he gave to our people. He helped us to know who we were. And how brilliant we were and how beautiful we were, and so we know our history. Malcolm X was one of one, and we honor him. His widow, Betty Shabazz, was me and my sister's godmother, and that is why we know all of his children. And Ilyasa Shabazz is one, Ilyasa and Malak. You often see Malak here on a Saturday or any of the NAN events, but they are leading this effort. They lead it every year at the Shabazz Center, and we encourage everyone to go this year. As Alexis said, Reverend Sharpton will be receiving the Vanguard Award. Let's clap that up. He will be receiving that as well deserved, and Rep. Jasmine Crockett and Caroline Wanga from Essence will also be honored with him, and there's also other people being honored, but we encourage you to go. I know a contingency of NAN will be in the house. This year is not free, so somebody asked me about that. I didn't know it wasn't. I have no tickets, so I don't want y'all to ask, but the tickets, they are for sale, and you can just go on their site and get them. If we get any, I will let you know, but as of right now, we all have to pay for tickets, but we plan to support, and it is this Friday, that is February 21st, from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Shabazz Center, 3940 Broadway. And salute and love always to the Shabazz family and the entire movement around Malcolm X that has continued thus far, all right? All right. Pardon? $25 is what I saw on this site. Yeah, so, yep. All right. All right, and that ends my report, and we will welcome Patrice Perry, our National Crisis Director, with her crisis report. Let's clap her up.
Thank you. Good evening, Huddle family. So I just want to give you some updates on some crisis cases that we've been dealing with here at the House of Justice. A couple of weeks ago, Ashley announced that the 15-year-old Caleb Rehos, who was just at the bus stop going to school, y'all remember that name? And that they were doing a prayer vigil outside of his school with the representative from the Bronx. Well, that family came into our office this week. And they were actually here for Saturday rally, but they didn't want to be noticed. But they wanted some help putting a law in Caleb's name. He was 15, just going to school. He was a football star. And I mentioned to them that we were going to be at that vigil, but we had Huddle here. So I've encouraged them to be a part of us. They came Saturday, so we're working with the family. Secondly, Fatu Kiata, the 7-year-old that was shot up the block from Nan, spoke with her parents, and she's doing well. You know, they have her in therapy because she's still very nervous when she goes outside, just with anybody. Y'all can clap that up. She's doing well. Thirdly, I spoke to you about a lady that we were working with in Brooklyn, who her son has been missing since December. And they didn't have a body. So they did give her a call. We've been working with them, making calls, and she's been going back and forth for 2-hour drives. It's not a good thing, but they did locate her son's body, so she can now have a proper funeral. And they are going to grand jury. The man confessed and said everything. So just keep that family in prayer. And last but not least, we are always honored. This is our 15th year of Legal Night, and I know February has been moving kind of swiftly. So next Thursday is our Legal Night for February, which is February 27th. And our presenter next week is the Honorable Judge Tingling, and he will be talking about being a juror. How do you serve? How do you become one? For our young people, real quick, how do you become a juror? Do you know what a juror is? You ever heard of it? Just take a guess. What is that? If someone says you got to do jury duty, how do you become qualified to do that? Come, talk to me. Come on, tell me. I'll come over to you. So how do you become a jury, to serve on a jury? How do you become, what you have to do?
You have to observe what happened. Oh.
All right, you took a guess. What you said?
To be a voter. Good job. To be a voter.
Yes, you have to be a registered voter. That's great. Come on, clap them up. They're not ready to vote yet, but that was great. So meet us next Thursday right here at the House of Justice. We will be on live, YouTube, all platforms, and we'll be live here in the audience. And we have a judge that's going to close out Black History Month. Judge Tingling, he's a friend to Nan. He's been here many, many, many times. So we encourage you to join us. And that wraps up my National Crisis Report, and thank you.
Thank you, Patrice. Is everybody an updated member of the National Action Network for 2025? Can I see hands? All right, good. For those of you who did not raise your hand, you need to renew your membership or join us if you have never been a member. You can stay informed about NAN events close to where you live. Text JUSTICE, that's JUSTICE, followed by your state to 59769. Again, that's 59769. And always, what happens on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. and it ends around 11:30 right here on this stage? Does anybody know? Saturday Action Rally. And who is the keynote for Saturday Action Rally? Who's also here? Reverend Al Sharpton. All right. So make sure you guys join us. Of course, it's usually packed, so I will get here closer to 9 if you can, and join us. And if you cannot join us in person, if you do not live here, Ernest said come at 8. So come at 8. But I'll be here closer to 9. All right. So you can also tune in on our YouTube channel or on our Facebook channel. We are lit right now, so make sure you join us. Make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you share it and subscribe. All right. Next, we will have our Black History Facts by our creative contributor, Danielle, followed by Open Huddle and Good News. So think about it. If you have any good news or any announcements, get ready to come right up to this mic after Dan so we can get through that segment and start our Did You Know? Let's clap Dan up. Thank you very much.
Amen. Black History Facts plural this evening come by numbers. So in Bergen Hymn, Alabama. His Airness was the name of the song that was born in Virginia. It retired their state song, which glorified slavery. All this and more in today's special edition is what the article I'm reading mentions regarding today's date. So they had a special edition, and it included that information about Birmingham, Alabama song, His Airness, being retired as it had been glorifying slavery. So that's a good thing. On this day in year 1870 in Mississippi, Mississippi became the ninth readmitted after the Civil War. It says Congress passed the resolution on the condition that Mississippi would never change its constitution to disenfranchise African Americans. So that's another good news, Black History fact. Moving right along, for our tertiary Black History fact, on this day in the year 1997, Virginia House of Delegates voted unanimously to retire their state song, Carry Me Back to Old Virginia, another tune that had glorified slavery. Here we go on a roll. On this day in year 1973, the Navy freight USS Jesse L. Brown was commissioned. The ship was named for Ensign Jesse L. Brown, who was the first African-American naval aviator to see combat in Korea. And the last Black History fact for this evening is on this day in the year 1942, Huey Newton, one of the founders of the Black Panthers, was born. Newton was an illiterate high school graduate who taught himself to read. He attended Merritt College and San Francisco School of Law. He went on to form the Black Panthers in year 1966 in Oakland. Amen for those Black History facts.
Go ahead. Thank you, dear. All right. Anybody have any announcements or any good news to share? Nobody? Oh, come on, brother Ruby. It's good to see the young people back again in the building. Good to see you. Clap yourselves up. Good to see you guys. And I have good news, I guess. This past Saturday, I was not at the rally because I was asked to keynote for the Black, Hispanic, Puerto Rican, and Asian Legislative Caucus, the Women's Luncheon. And that basically was 250 to 300 women of all ages. It was like 7 men, but it was in the assembly chambers where Carl Hastie, basically they call it the People's House. And I was truly honored. I was nervous, very, very nervous because Letitia James and Andre Stewart Cousins, the people that I've idolized and honored my entire life, I was on the same dais with them, and it was just like, for me, it was, everybody keeps saying, oh, Ashley, please, like, you need to understand what it is. But for me, that was an honor. I was truly honored. I was humbled. And it was great. So I just want to thank Jamila Hines, and I want to thank the committee for welcoming me and my voice. My sorors, I found out when I got there, they were a part of it. I thought it was something that Nan had helped put together, but it was basically the young lady worked with us. She worked with us during the de Blasio administration. She said she heard me speak at a protest. And I was like, what? I didn't even know who she was. And it was just like, you just never know who's watching you or who's listening to you. And then we'll put you into opportunities or rooms that you didn't even know you would be in. So I just want to thank you again, Jamila, and thank you to the caucus for the opportunity to speak. All right. Brother Ruby?
Yes. I just wanted to announce,
Speak in the mic.
the Harlem Fine Arts Show is going to be taking place. This is the 17th year that this show is taking place. It's taking place downtown, unfortunately, this year at the Glass House building. And I'm going to pass out some flyers, but it's a major exhibition of African American art, artists from Harlem and all over the country bring their finest art and show it to the community so that they can appreciate the art. You also are able to purchase their art. Hailey King Ruby, who has been coming to the rallies on Saturday and had provided a piece of art for the Honorable Kamala Harris, he will be exhibiting at the show. So I'm going to pass these out. Everybody's welcome to come, and it should be a great day. It starts on February the 21st through the 23rd.
Thank you. Damien.
Good evening. It is with great sadness that I announce that unfortunately on the day before yesterday, I was awakened to a number of missed texts and missed calls. And when I answered the text and I answered the calls, one of them was from my mom to ask me if I was all right. I said, am I all right? Yeah, I'm all right. I just slept an extra 6 hours today, so I'm feeling just fine. And so she said, no, seriously, she works in a hospital, and she said, around your neighborhood, patients were having a hard time getting to the hospital because of the street closures. So I quickly got dressed, and as I went outside, I was confronted with another building on fire again in the Bronx. And unfortunately, a toddler was injured and burnt, below the knees, as well as a few other individuals were hurt. But unfortunately, 15 families were displaced on this day. Luckily, again, National Action Network was in the neighborhood, I was in the neighborhood, and we were able to come to the assistance of the Red Cross of Greater New York, who came out to help those who were in need. And I'm glad to say that the National Action Network Youth Huddle was involved in helping to feed and provide comfort to those who were in need. And so we did feed each and every one of the individuals who were displaced on that day. I'm also glad to announce that the Red Cross was able to house and place each and every one of those individuals who did lose their homes on that day. So I do ask for continued prayer of the masses. And again, we really have to do a better job in New York City with holding rental property owners and property managers accountable to maintaining their properties. A lot of these buildings are well over 50, 60, 70, even 100 years old, and their pipes are old, their wiring is old, and we need to do an audit of these properties and bring them up to code for the sake of our lives and for the sake of saving the lives of others in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Damien. So sorry to hear that information, and I'm glad you and whoever was there to help them and the Red Cross. Huddle was not there, but I'm glad you were, and I'm glad that everyone there participated. I just want to be clear, because I don't ever want to get in trouble with false claim. All right. Any more announcements, action alerts? No? All right, so who has been to convention before? All right, so on the last day, there is a fashion show. Tryouts for the fashion show for young people who are present. I think some of y'all have been there because I remember your face. But the last day of the fashion show, the fashion show ends Youth and College Day, is April 5th. So tryouts will be next, not this Saturday and Sunday, but next Saturday and Sunday, which is March 1st and 2nd. There are virtual tryouts, and then there will be in-person tryouts. So make sure you guys look forward for that information. Tryouts, you can start as young as, if you want to model. You can start off as young as 6 years old. We can't do 5 years old because we've had some, they just want to run up they don't listen. 6 years old, and we can go, we're not capping it. So we can have, you can walk and kill a runway if you're 80 and do it and fit the clothes, then we welcome you to participate. So that's for modeling. We're also welcoming designers. We're also welcoming talent of all types, but it must be clean talent. No cursing, nothing vulgar, nothing derogatory. All right, so we invite you to participate. We're excited. That's always an exciting time during the convention for Youth and College Day. So again, young people, we encourage you to join us. Help tell your friends, share the information. Elders, seasoned, middle-aged. We encourage you, if you have the talent and the look and the skill, we encourage you to join us to stretch your stuff. All right? All right, now we're going to jump into the Did You Know segment. The order of the articles is Dominique, myself, and then Patrice. Let's welcome our Vice Chair, Dominique Sharpton. You need a mic.
Hello? Hello? Okay, who remembers what I was talking about in terms of how corporations are either rolling back or supporting, upholding, and standing by DEI? Now, what in particular about my conversation, young people, did I want you all to be prepared for in terms of the strategy that we're using as activists to have more power in the corporate boardroom? Yep. I'm looking for one particular word that starts with an S that I talked about very extensively last week. Very extensively. S-H, first two letters. It's not shop. Share something. Shareholders. So do y'all remember the conversation about the shareholders that we're trying to basically have more power, more voting power on the standards and policies that corporations vote upon and execute in their policies? You have to be a shareholder in order to be in those board meetings. And so National Action Network has adapted this strategy. And as Ashley spoke about earlier, it's in line with our, as you mentioned, boycott strategy, because this is a boycott, but it is an evolving boycott. So we're not there yet. A lot of people are doing this now, by the way, and we are seeing tremendous results from it. But we want to, of course, push for power, more power, to be able to outrule the policies and things that are coming out that, of course, is not in line with who we are and what we stand for. So the shareholder, and I don't want y'all to be laughing when I'm talking, because next week when I ask and we don't know, we're going to have a problem because we need to be paying attention. So the shareholder piece is very important, and young people, as you having these conversations and as people are asking you all, well, what y'all doing at NAN? What's going on at the huddle? And you should be able to verbalize, thank you. Verbiate is a word too. But you should be able to verbalize exactly what we are discussing, because it's you that we're fighting for. It's you that will be applying for these positions in corporate America. You will be overly qualified for them. You will be totally prepared. But we want to make sure that you get your foot through that door. And in order to do that, we have to continue to bolster opportunities by having power. So I just want y'all to understand the seriousness of what we're doing. And in this particular article, I'm trying to still pull it up, but in this particular article, it's talking about how even though we, as a people, as people of color, we built these corporations, we built these institutions with our bare hands. Our ancestors built these institutions in this country for people to come in and have power over how we govern our lives. And that's a little weird, right? So we're talking about DEI, and we're talking about upholding DEI, and we're talking about in the standard of how do we, as this sister said, boycott. And we're talking about large institutions like Target, like Walmart, whom we know have been, thank you, very, very prevalent in our community for years. Like, you can't go in a black neighborhood, except for New York and Harlem. We don't have Walmart in Harlem. But it's very, very seldom that you'll go into a community in the suburbs or the outskirts of the city and not find a Walmart, not run into a Walmart supercenter. And there's not a lot of other establishments, mom and pop stores and others. They have been displaced because of these supercenters, because of these large institutions that are coming in, and it's basically our only option. So it's like, I'm gonna drive 5 miles, I'm gonna get on the bus 5 miles, or I'm gonna just go to the supercenter and get what I need and go back home, because it's right there. So we have to start creating these opportunities for us to be able to spend our dollars wisely, but we gotta have the infrastructure and we gotta have the power to be able to get in there. So this article talks about, as more retailers like Walmart and Target have dropped DEI initiatives, there are companies' efforts to find and fund Black-owned brands. They're also at risk. So in this particular article, as I also talked about last week, that we have to also, in line with the boycotting, in line with the shareholding strategy, we also have to figure out a way of how we impact the distribution of how our products are getting into these companies and getting into these shelves. So let's say you have a business and you're a black person and you have a business and you say, wow, I have these products. Let's go with makeup, right? What's the top? And y'all know this, okay? Rihanna got Fenty, right? Black woman. But there's a movement behind Fenty. So Rihanna can go into a boardroom and say, I'm Rihanna. I want my Fenty products to be sold in your stores. And there's a distribution, there's a distributor, there's another process where there's a distributor that goes in and then negotiates how your products are sold, where they're placed on the shelves. They could be all the way in the back of the store or in the front. All of that stuff matters, and that's all in distribution. And so this article talks about how companies like Sephora and Costco, who are stressing the importance of carrying products that reflect the diversity of their customers, but there's pushback because what products are being sold on their shelves? Do they reflect us? Do they look like us? Are they engineered by people of color? So it's important that we also look at that factor, and it's also important that we support black-owned businesses, but we want our black-owned businesses to thrive in institutions where we will spend our dollars, where they have DEI standards, where they care about diversity, where they say, oh, okay, you of color matter to us as we continue to climb the hierarchy of success in this corporation. So it's not just about meeting the consumers, like, I want your money, I want your dollar, but it's also saying, okay, you've created this product. We also want to make sure that your products are featured prominently in these corporations. So, for a black-owned brand, getting a retailer to bet on it was just the start, but Brown Girl Jane, CEO and founder Malika Jones, said that Sephora has supported its companies so it can better compete with well-known brands and huge marketing budgets and glossy celebrity endorsements. Brown Girl Jane received a $100,000 grant last year from Sephora to help grow its business and participated in Sephora's Accelerate program, which aims to boost founders who are people of color. Now, Sephora spotlighted the fragrance brand in an email to customers in early February, putting it in front of potential shoppers who don't know its name. But Brown Girl Jane's sales more than doubled after Sephora began carrying the company's fragrances online and at select stores over a year ago. Now, while Sephora has put its weight behind this brand, much larger retailers like Walmart and Target recently scaled back similar efforts, focused on finding and funding more brands founded by people of color. So now they're saying, well, we don't support DEI, but we're going to go for these black brands and make sure that they are in our stores. So that's what's going on now, okay? So they're trying to entice black businesses to get their products in the store so that black people will go buy them. But they don't support DEI. So the question is, what do you do about that? Because we want our black businesses to thrive. We want our black businesses to succeed. But we also know that the competition out there is getting crazy, right? So Sephora can say, I'm going to give you $100,000 for your grant, but I don't support DEI. You going to take that $100,000 grant, or you going to say, nah, I'm going to take my Brown Girl Jane product somewhere else? You see what I'm saying? So a lot of us don't, and this is why we got to talk about this. A lot of black-owned businesses are being forced to choose. Right? They're being forced to choose. Do I help my business thrive, or do I go for the route of resistance, where I'm gonna say I'm gonna take my product somewhere else, and no matter what it is, wherever I go, I want to make sure that the companies that are distributing my products look like me and uphold me in every way, shape, or form. What are your thoughts on this? Because it's definitely a discussion. What you think, Dan? You gonna take that $100,000? Come on to the microphone.
I say if someone wanted to be economic and also be able to enhance their finances with that $100,000 if they really need it, ignoring the fact that the organization could change their mind to later on adopt DEI policies or configure a way to incorporate equity and inclusion and further understand how diversity, equity, and inclusion will be integral to greater success for the larger organization. It is possible. It's actually very possible to be in consideration of taking the $101,000 or $100,000 point 1 cent. If you wanted to negotiate a higher value for your particular product that you believe in, that you've developed, and I guess gotten out the developmental phases of things, to shelf it and have it sold and monitor its success over a period of time that you could identify before you sign the contract.
Okay, so
to
here's
receive
another
the
part of
money.
it.
But it's important
Here's
to
another
also
part of it. I don't mean to cut you
discuss-
off. Hold on 1 second. So there's another part of this, and that's the fear of litigation. So as we also spoke about last week, there are companies like Target, like Walmart, we've been seeing in the news, the shareholders are starting to sue, saying, well, I didn't know you was going to get out there talking about you not with DEI. I'm not down with that. So they starting to get litigation. They're starting to be confronted with lawsuits. So they're trying to do things to even the playing field, but we're falling for the okie doke. So they're saying, well, we're not going to change our standard. We're not going to change our stance. We're not supporting DEI. All those programs are out. All of those employees are out. We're done. However, we do want your black-owned businesses in our stores. We do, because we know that's going to bring your people to shop as opposed to not spending their dollar. So I just want to be clear on what I'm asking here for us to talk about. So the question is, as a black-owned business person, well, as an activist, how do we support black-owned businesses to be able to go in to these distributing meetings and say, I'm not going for the 100,000 grant, or I'm not going for that. I don't want you to give me hush money, or I don't want you to quiet me. I want my business to thrive, but I also want to be in line with supporting businesses that are upholding us. So where do you draw that line? That's the conversation that we're having tonight. I just want everybody to be clear.
The consideration aspect of what I was mentioning has a lot to do with making the final decision, whether it's a $101,000 grant that can't be negotiated or can. So if you're trying to understand the company's values, maybe you need to be a part of that company. Maybe you need a seat at the shareholders table, as the example that you had mentioned earlier would be, to elaborate when you're speaking in conversation about how that company conducts itself pertaining to DEI policy change during the current year, 2025. So I think it's also important to explore the option to take business elsewhere as an additive feature of business, because it is possible to receive the grant money and to take the business elsewhere also. That's what my main point was as far as the dual capacity to function,
Thank you.
supporting your own brand. Amen.
So Sephora, as we know, had initially came out and said that they were rolling back on DEI. They have now changed that stance. Remember, I was giving y'all the roll call last week about when these meetings are happening, these shareholders meetings, and how these policies are going to be discussed and voted upon. Well, Sephora has now come out and said, well, we're going to uphold and stand by DEI. And then also including incentives and programs like the grants that was given to Brown Girl Jane, to say, we not only want you to trust us, but we want you to sell your products in our stores. Go ahead now.
I think that is always something that a black business needs to take in consideration is, what do the people recognize, right? So some people already have name recognition with Target and big corporations. So I think all of that has to be negotiated, because when it comes to going somewhere else, there's a lot of black businesses out there, but we don't know about it. And a lot of times when we talk, we say that doesn't exist when there is a network, but it's not publicized on the level of mainstream. So it makes it harder because you recognize Walmart and Target, right? So why is that? So it really has to be really specific, because you can go somewhere independent, and that's what it is. It's independent. You're gonna have to make sure you put it out there. And if you don't already have a name, that's why you look for other people that already have the backing to support you. So you already have the support with Target. You already have the support with Walmart. And now they're saying, okay, we didn't do the DEI. One of the things that people want to know is, why are they saying on the internet that DEI really help white women, right? They're saying, oh, we're going to focus on the black business, right? So it really needs to be clear, why are they out here saying it support black women? white women and LGBT and all of these other entities, and they're saying, okay, well, we're going to help you, black business, which is specifically black business, and that is something that we have to negotiate and talk about.
Well, the same reason, thank you, Sister Coco, but it's in line with the same reason why food stamps were created, right? I mean, food stamps, government assistance, all of that was not to help black people. That was to help the underprivileged white people. And we happen to, you know what I'm saying? Like, so let's be honest here. I think it goes in line to what you're saying. And going back to accessibility, people shop at Target and Walmart because that's what they see. That's what's there. That's what's in their neighborhood. They don't want to have to travel further to another establishment when Walmart's right there. And you see it's pushed in your face. You see all of the ads. You see all the products that you trust, all the brand names. They're all there, right? And so it's like, all right, am I going to buy the Q-tip or am I going to buy, C-tip? I don't know C-tip, but I know Q-tip because Q-tip has always been pushed in my face and Q-tip has been the most accessible to me. So how do we make those black-owned businesses more accessible to us?
You're absolutely right, Dominique. And what just upsets me is because going back to the 90s, we had an opportunity in the 90s to nip it in the bud so that we would not be where we are today. But that's what underneath the bridge, and guess what? We're in the year 2025. And so my remedy for this situation, I do believe, is, it's unfortunate that we as people of color always get pinned against each other, whether it's in schools, business, on the streets. It seems like we're always at each other's odds because of some other outside influence. And I say that to say that now we're in a situation where many companies want to do away with DEI. So how do we support black businesses at the same time boycotting businesses that don't support black businesses? Now, Target, perfect example. If you go on all social medias, they're promoting images of young black women like your age with with dolls of colors and socks and all other different kind of products made by young people, young black women, young black men, and they're promoting it on social media to encourage people of color to come into their stores. So like I said, there are enough millionaires and billionaires within the black and Hispanic and the diverse community to say, listen, okay, business people have to make a decision. Do we choose, again, our business, or do we choose the upliftment and the movement? So we've got to create a level playing field for those businesses, those black businesses. Okay, we can't ask them to take their stuff off the shelves if we don't give them an alternative. So we have to find an alternative for black businesses to market their products. So I say to the black churches, to the black millionaires, to the black billionaires, let's not only purchase the stock, but let's purchase the merchandise as well and place it in stores of color or place it in community organizations such as the National Action Network, NAACP, Urban League. Buy it up. You know that there are communities of color that are suffering due to poverty and lack of income. There's enough money out there for you all to purchase these items, use it as a tax write-off to not-for-profit organizations, and disperse the products. That's just one alternative. That's just one example of what we can do to try to help to save black businesses. Purchase up the products, purchase up the stock, and distribute against the masses who can't afford it.
So I just want to thank you so much for your comment. I just want to, of course, as we are, of course, trying to encourage and also give information for knowledge, I want to talk about the 15% pledge really quickly. So after George Floyd happened and a lot of these companies, institutions started upholding these DEI standards, saying diversity, equity, and inclusion matters in our companies. Now, this is something that DEI has existed way before, of course, George Floyd. But after George Floyd, we saw such an upsurge of companies that were committing and adopting these policies to include diversity in their corporation. The 15% pledge was one of those pillars that really focused on black-owned businesses. It held companies accountable to having to distribute 15% of their shelves to black-owned businesses. Now, since the DEI rollbacks have started and companies like Target and Walmart have started to really be vocal about ending DEI, a lot of these companies also felt the need or the pressure to also end that 15% pledge. So another double question of this is, as we are supporting Black-owned businesses, we want our Black-owned businesses to thrive, but we also want to hold these companies accountable for tearing down their DEI policies or minimizing their DEI policies. Do we also, in the same line, in our boycotting strategy, push to uphold the 15% pledge, or should it be more? You got a comment, sister?
We gotta stand up and still fight for DEI. Because this is very important. My name is Lenore, but you can call me Lynn. I'm from the National Action Network. And how many people want Trump impeached? Because he's trying to take the DEI out completely. Okay? So the Democrats is working on getting him impeached for the third time. God bless us. I hope it work out.
Thank you so much. I know we even have some Black owners, some Black funders, some Black founders in the building who have businesses, who are understanding exactly what I'm talking about in terms of the distribution and the supplier and the demand for how their products are being marketed and also distributed in these mainstream arenas. As Sister Coco said, it does trickle down to how we as a community and advocates fight and what we decide to demand in our fight. So again, think about the 15% pledge. Think about what this little sister said about boycotting. And as we're thinking about and strategizing our boycott strategies, we also want to be realistic with what we expect from these companies and what we're asking from them to do. So no ask to me at this point is too large because they're jumping out saying, well, we don't care about y'all. Like, we want y'all to buy the products from our stores, keep us in business, but when you get to corporate America in our institution, we won't see y'all. And so I really want us to be strategic about how we're having these conversations, what the strategy is, and how we're all aligning in the strategy, because our collective power is going to be what is going to determine how effective these strategies end up being. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Danielle for the last comment. Oh, Mr. Waters is coming in.
Minimum threshold of 15%. Was that what 15%?
The 15%.
That should be the minimum. That should definitely be the minimum. They should also be forethought about how applying more of a percent can make an impact. I think if the experts want to take a look at what 15% did and then provide National Action Network with some speaking engagements to enlighten our audience about how impactful larger percent could create a greater change. To be inferred will be helpful. Certainly, I feel as though 15% is nominally not a huge amount of a quarter, but it's also more than a quarter. So with that consideration, maybe we can push to see what a quarter of 100th would do, particularly pledging towards what it is that you're discussing. So yeah, 15%, I feel in consideration of things like inflation, is pretty low.
Pretty low.
Yes, pretty low.
Thank you.
I think we should ask for more, because when you ask for double the amount, you could settle for any other amount that's in between. But if we don't ask for more, they could try to reduce what we do ask for. So the more we ask for, the more we'll get. Anytime when you want something, like for instance, if they given a 10% raise and you ask for 25%, they might give you 20% and you still made out good. But if you settle for what they give you, then they could always sneak in and say, well, if we gave you 10 and it's not working out, we'll give you 5. So if you ask for 50 and they give you 40, you accomplish more than you set out to accomplish. So ask for more. Always ask for more. No ask for less. If they're going to give you 10, ask for 20 or 30 and settle for something in between.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. I will also say that, as many of you know, and just to reiterate, National Action Network has convened a commission to not only give us data, information about what corporations are supporting DEI, which policies of DEI other corporations are scaling back from, but they're also going to be creating things like this, where we talk about the 15% pledge, when we're talking about what exactly we're targeting companies to do, what exactly we're asking for companies to commit to or uphold. So it's also very important not to just say, well, we want you to uphold DEI. We want you to uphold DEI, and not understanding the different steps and all that's involved with what these DEI policies include and how they can benefit us, people of color, as the consumers, as those who own the businesses, as those who want to, of course, elevate in corporate America within these businesses. So just want to try to give more information for your mind. And of course, we'll be continuing these discussions as we continue our outreach and activism. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dominique. Let's clap Dominique up and clap yourselves up for those who participated in the Q&A. My article is from the LA Times, and it is entitled Colleges K through 12 Schools Ordered by the Trump Administration to Abolish DEI or Face Funding Cuts. And it's by Jaweed Kaleem. All right, the U.S. Department of Education has given colleges and schools with race-specific programs, including financial aid and racially themed dormitory floors and graduation ceremonies, until the end of the month to abolish them. What does abolish mean? Destroy, that's right. All right, just making sure you understand. All right, until the end of the month to abolish them or risk losing federal funding as educators scrambled over the holiday weekend to interpret the sweeping scope of new guidelines. A Dear Colleague letter from the Department's Civil Rights Division and addressed to K through 12, kindergarten through 12, and higher education leaders for them to lay out a new federal anti-discrimination enforcement policy that extends beyond the use of race in admissions, a practice barred since 2023 by the U.S. Supreme Court. The guidelines signed by Acting Assistant Secretary for Civil Rights Craig Traynor said schools using race in decisions pertaining to admissions, hiring, promotion, compensation, financial aid, scholarships, prizes, administrative support, discipline, housing, graduation ceremonies, and all other aspects of student, academic, and campus life were in violation of anti-discrimination laws and legal precedents set in the High Court's affirmative action case. The department will no longer tolerate the overt and covert racial discrimination that has become widespread in this nation's educational institutions, the letter said. It later adds that federal education authorities will vigorously enforce the law on equal terms as to all preschool, elementary, secondary, and post-secondary educational institutions, as well as state educational agencies that receive financial assistance. The letter singles out white and Asian students, many of whom come from disadvantaged backgrounds and low-income families, as victims of discrimination. It did not mention other types of school programming that appeal to non-racial groups, such as women-only residence halls, dorm room floors, or programs for LGBTQ+ students or religious communities. A spokesman for the department did not reply Sunday to a request for comment. California received about $16.3 billion in total federal funding last year for its 5.8 million K-12 public school students, according to Education Data Initiative, which compiles information for government sources. The figures include education-related spending outside of the education department, such as school meal programs and Head Start for preschoolers. The letter did not say if the decision applies to funding that comes from beyond the department. At the college level, more than $1.5 billion is allocated each year from the department to California students through Pell Grants, which do not have to be repaid and are given to students with low family incomes. In addition, more than $1 billion is distributed throughout the country through other programs supporting low-income students. The letter did not specify what type of federal funds for schools and colleges are at risk. Education and legal experts said Sunday the department's guidance targets not only practices in which scholars agree that the use of race is illegal, admissions and hiring, but also those that are commonplace and often not controversial. They include scholarships aiding underrepresented racial minorities, culturally themed dorm room floors, and optional graduation ceremonies for Black, Latino, Native American, and other college and high school groups. So it goes on. I'll read the last page. Edward Bloom, who we all are familiar with that's in the DEI fight, is the founder of the Students for Fair Admissions, the organization that won its affirmative lawsuit against Harvard 2 years ago in the Supreme Court ruling. Said that the department's message was an opening salvo in potential legal fight. This letter is likely a prelude to a forthcoming series of detailed directives that will identify discriminatory policies and programs that will be challenged in federal court by the Education Department. Bloom said, public and private educational institutions that have adopted policies that they consider race neutral may soon have those policies declared as illegal race proxies. So does everyone understand what I just read? So basically, the Department of Education is basically telling all schools that basically if they don't get rid of DEI programming or anything related to DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, or race, period, if they don't remove it, abolish it, they won't be funded by the government. So, and what was alarming for me, now I'll share mine after, but I went to a predominantly white school. So from kindergarten to 8th grade, I went to an all-black school, and it was 4 black kids. It was a private school, 4 black kids. Then I transitioned to a predominantly white private school, Poly Prep Country Day School, and I went from 7th to 12th grade, right? I'm saying that for a reason. Most of the percentage of my school that was black was 13%, right? Most of the black kids in my school were on scholarship, but they were part of a program called Prep for Prep. And if you scored high enough on your SATs or on the programming, you would get into Prep for Prep, and they would place you in the top schools in the city, basically so that you would have access to those schools and you can go to the top schools in the country and whatnot. But usually they weren't looked at without Prep for Prep because they were not from those communities. They could not afford to go to the school, right? Follow me? So if Prep for Prep did not exist, most of the black kids in Poly Prep would not be able to go there. Understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying that we need a boost up, but Rev always says it, if we're not starting from the same access point, if we're not starting from the same line, how can we all go forward? How can you expect it to be the same entrance or anything if it's not equal? We're already not coming from the same equal playing field. So the option about DEI and the alarm here as what's going on now as part of the education system is scary because does everyone knows what HBCUs are? Historically black colleges and universities? What about the federal funding for them? If they cut programming, racial, just anything related to race from regular schools, if schools specifically for black people, to teach for black people, you don't think that they're just gonna take the funding away from that and say that that's racist to have a school just for black people? Do you understand what they're saying? They're saying that basically DEI, affirmative action, anything related to that, only race though, not gender, not sex, just race. Think about that. Will be cut. That's racist. Thank you, Kathy. That's racist. So what I don't understand is if you go to, you went to Yale, and I'm not trying to call you out, but if you go to different colleges, different schools, they have women's things for women, specifically for women, to celebrate women, specifically named for women, specifically named for some LGBTQ on some campuses, specifically for that. There's some that is just for religious things, like they have it so you can welcome, so you can feel comfortable on campus. Like I just said, I went to a predominantly white school. So we had Umoja, which was basically our black club. And it wasn't to separate you, but it's for you to feel comfortable. And for you to feel that your culture is welcomed here in a space that you are not basically the majority or may not be used to. So with that said, I was gonna be the devil's advocate, right, with my question, right? This is my question. With this on the brink, HBCUs can be completely chopped from federal funding. Do you feel DEI and other race-related programs foster actual separation instead of inclusion? Mic is open. Okay. With this on the brink, they're basically saying this has to happen. HBCUs can be completely chopped from federal funding. Do you feel DEI and other race-related programs in schools foster actual separation instead of inclusion? Because what they're saying is these programs are fostering separation instead of bringing diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's the argument that they are saying. The right is saying that this is causing, DEI causes separation. The black clubs in the schools causes the black kids to go be separate rather than bringing everybody together. And then they throw Dr. King in and say, oh, didn't he have a dream for all of us to be equal? So why are we separate? Why you guys want to be separate? Why can't we just, why do you need a separate basically standards for you to come? That's basically the argument against it. So why I'm asking it here is if we can argue it, then we'll be prepared to argue it with them. But if you're not prepared, if you can't argue that and we're so offended by even the thought, then we're not prepared to fight it. Because it's happening, whether we like it or not. Go ahead.
Absolutely not. Programs, including the definition, for instance, it means definition of diversity, it has much to do with the population. So from, Edmonds Dictionary or Webster Dictionary purview, you understand that inclusion and equity are separate words from diversity, and diversity includes variant members of a population, for limiting the discussion about diversity to a population of people. So that does not separate, it does the opposite of separate people. It unites a group of people of diverse backgrounds, maybe diverse education levels, if it's about diversity in education levels. But since the discussion is limited to diversity regarding race, heritage, lineage, culture, by definition, absolutely not. Diversity, equity, and inclusion in educational institutions does not separate people by race. It includes them all together.
Thank you, Daniel. Tony? Let's clap him up. You can clap him up.
Every time I hear this conversation, I just can't help it, but the people who have a problem with DEI, I hate to use this word, but they're stupid. And the reason why I say that is because God made all of us the way He made us. So they must think that God is stupid for making us this way. And so that's annoying for me, first off. Second off is that they don't understand the difference, and I've said this before, between winning and success. Winning is I win, everybody else lose. Success is everybody wins. And every time I hear this conversation, it's just so annoying. We're born and raised to be in communities. We're born and raised to be collectively together. We're not just in caves with our mom and dad and that's it. We're born and raised to be around each other, regardless of where, school, work, at the swimming pool, whatever. And so I recently started reading a new book called Caste. I'll let you know about it. But, oh, you know that book? Oh my God, Caste is so deadly as far as the way it explains racism, highers and lowers and whatnot. And so this conversation is just amplifying that in my mind. And so I just think that people who are worried about somebody else being equal to them just tells you that they feel insecure that you might be equal to them. And that's what I got.
Thank you. Ernest?
They gave us DEI to be equal because they seen things were not just for the black people. So it was something that they gave to us so that everything would even the playing field. So now when they want to take DEI away, they want to put it back so that they could be above us in what they do. For instance, if a white person and a black person take a test, the white person gets 68 and the black person gets 98. The black person deserves the position, deserves a job because he got the highest score. But because his skin is black, they will give it to the guy who got the lower score because his skin is white. So DEI was put here to make everything equal and just so that we could be equal on the playing field to the people of a different color. Now, DEI stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. The D stands for dynamic, because that's all the black people. When we go out there, we got to be dynamic to get a higher score than them. You know, the E stands for equality. We have to be equal to everything that they do so that we can stand up and say, we deserve this. We fighting for this. And all the people that's going out around the world who are fighting for DEI know that if we don't fight, they win. But we got a saying, fight, we have the right. If we fight, we win. So we have to get out there and do our just so that these people can see that what we get, we deserve. Nobody gave it to us. My father said, never kick a man when he's drowning in his sorrow. You never know. He'll be up and you'll be drowning tomorrow. And the old saying in the Bible, it says, if you feed a man, you feed him for the day. But if you teach him how to feed himself, he feeds himself for life. Okay? So if we get out there and show these people that we can accomplish what we will,
Say that.
then they'll recognize the power that we have in unity, the power in ourselves, and the power of black people.
Thank you, Ernest Waters. Come on, brother.
I think the question is, does it separate or could it separate? And I say it should separate so that we can elevate. No mother raises all of her children the same way. There are some that require more than others. We should separate so that we can elevate and then come back together. But does it isolate is more of a question of what it should be. It does not isolate, but we need to separate. There's certain things that people of the same nature can understand about one another and can encourage each other about one another. And so we should separate. There should be some separations, not isolation, but there should be separation so that we can elevate and come back together with our white co-parts. So I say, yes, it should separate. I hope it does, because we are not growing the same way as them. You know, they had a head start, as Rev said. So yes, I hope it does separate, and I hope that we elevate during the separation.
That was a different answer. Thank you, brother, for sharing. Ayana. And before you come, I don't want to put you on the spot, but she graduated from Yale, which, first of all, clap her up. It's Yale University. Yale University is an Ivy League. Everyone knows Ivy League are the top schools. So even Ivy League high schools, Ivy League colleges. Brev we went to Yale's political union. He just had a debate in Yale, and DEI was the topic, right? It's very interesting, and they argued it. They had to argue it from the affirmative and the negative. One of the things that came out for the basically against it was, well, not against it, but legacy admissions were brought up. And basically, legacy admissions means that somebody in your family went to the school, and basically you have that advantage of legacy, that now you have a bump up. You know, my father went, so now I can easily have easy admission. That's a privilege, is it not? So if we're talking about race and things like that, why aren't we talking about legacy admissions? That privilege. Just saying, throwing that out there before you. I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but throwing it out there before you get on the mic. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with the last sentiment that was just made. Like, I do agree that DEI does promote separation, but in the sense that you're separating a group to nurture them, to bring them up to the same standard. Because I think that, in the sense, if you just have all of us in the same area without the same starting point, like, that doesn't allow us to get to the same end goal, like Ms. Ashley was saying. So I do think that, like, even with my experience at school, like, I went to the same charter schools as, like, every other kid in Harlem. Like, I went to Democracy Prep Charter School, and I didn't get to Yale because I was just, like, this, so genius person. Like, I was as smart as all the other people at Yale or at any other college. And I had the grades, and I had the SAT, and I had all the things that I needed to get in, just like all the other students. But there were programs that allowed me to be recognized by Yale. So I went to Yale Yale Young Global Scholars. And I went to these different programs that like allowed Black students and allowed students of color. And I went, what else did I do? First Year Scholars, which is another Yale program that allows first generation college students to like get exposure to the college setting without like having a family member or a parent that went to college. So I was just exposed to all these programs that helped me raise myself to the same level, not academically or like not by knowledge, but by experience and by opportunity. So I didn't have the same opportunities as them, but I had the same education. And I wouldn't have gotten to the place that I am now or to the places that I'm going without those opportunities. Stop recording me, bro. But yeah, I do think that DEI does have an aspect of separation, but to the point that the previous gentleman was talking about, like it's for the purpose of raising us up to the level of opportunity and experience so that we can show our talents. Yeah.
Thank you. Well said. Dan? No? Okay. Any other statements before we close this? Okay, so just letting you know, this is going to be a major issue for the Youth and College Division of NAN. Christian Matthew, I'm sure he's watching. A few others have already alarmed us on this as well. So we're going to be taking this forward, this fight forward on a national level. So we ask for your support when we're on the ground in New York City, but nationally, yeah, we're going to be fighting this back. Trump administration, I'm not sorry. All right, Dan has our final. No, actually it's Patrice. I'm confused. Yeah, Patrice has the final. Did you know? Let's clap her up.
Thank you, Ashley. So, how many people know that the New York City mayor's race is taking place in 2025? Who knows that? Okay. Did you know that there's 9 in the running? How many knew there was 9 of them in the running? Okay, good. So this will be a great conversation. Here's who's running for New York City mayor in 2025. The first person is none other than Brother Eric Adams. It's certainly an unusual New York City mayor's race, spurred by a historic indictment of the sitting mayor. A long list of prominent Democrats started fundraising to see if they can topple incumbent Mayor Eric Adams in the June 24th Democratic primary. In a stunning turn of events, though, President Donald Trump Justice Department is moving to put the corruption case on hold. That and a Fox and Friends interview with Trump's border czar led many to question whether Adams, who has maintained his innocence, would even run in the Democratic primary. He insists that he will. Meanwhile, the whole city seems to be holding its breath for Trump foil and Democratic former Governor Andrew Cuomo. Will he run or won't he? As of now, here are the prominent mayoral contenders: Eric Adams, Brad Lander, Jessica Ramos, Zelnor Myrie, Zoran Mandani, Scott Stringer, Michael Blake, Jim Walden, and Whitney Tilson. Now, some of those names, you've seen them right here on this stage, telling us what they were going to do. So let's make this quick. Mayor Adams. Where's his home? Gracie Mansion. How much has he raised? $4,394,140 raised so far. And he also has $3,149,194 in the bank. But you remember he was denied matching funds. The next person is Brad Lander. Y'all know him well. He's always here. His current role, right now he's the New York City Comptroller. His fundraising is at $1,185,781 in private donations raised so far. He has $3.2 million in the bank for his campaign. Where is he from? Park Slope in Brooklyn. What's holding him back? Lander is a nerdy white guy who may struggle to build support in the outer boroughs, and he may be seen too far left to build a winning coalition. Next is Jessica Ramos. She's currently a state senator representing Queens. Have y'all heard of her? And she was here too, absolutely. Her fundraising, check this out, $162,231. She has $31,094 in the bank. What is she running on? She wants to improve child care access, affordable housing, and mental health care citywide. What is Ramos' deal? She's a progressive state lawmaker who has represented East Elmhurst, Jackson Heights, and Corona since she ousted a moderate Democrat incumbent in 2018. Next up is Zelnor Myrie. He's currently a state senator representing Brooklyn. His fundraising is at $647,898, and he has $268,172 in the bank. Where is his home? He's from Leffert Gardens, Brooklyn. What is he running on? Proposals to build and preserve 1 million homes in New York City and create universal free after-school programs. What's holding him back? Most voters haven't heard of Zelnor Myrie, though an MSNBC hit with Goldman has surely helped him. Zelnor Myrie, he's a city council staffer turned Davis Polk attorney, started off his political career running against Mayor Adams, by proxy at least, and in 2018, he challenged State Senator Jesse Hamilton. Next on the slate is Zoran Mamdani. Have you heard of him? He was here for King Day. Y'all got to pay attention. His fundraising, matching funds in the bank, he has $641,816. He's got $415,555 in the bank as of January 11th. Where's his home? The People's Republic of Astoria. What is he running on? He wants to freeze the rent, make buses free, make childcare free, build public supermarkets, and criticize Israel. What's holding him back? It's not as cool to be far left anymore. And despite being a Nepo baby, he is limited name recognition. Next, Scott Stringer, a NAN fellow. Consultant, was term limited out of office as comptroller in 2021. Y'all remember him? His fundraising efforts, he's raised $788,543 in private donations. He's gotten $2 million in public matching funds, and he has estimated $2.4 million in the bank. Where's his home? Financial district in Manhattan. And what is he running on? He plans to beef up the NYPD, to tackle corruption, and to unlock more land for affordable housing, to expand childcare, and to clean up the streets. What's holding him back? In 2021, his mayoral bid failed amid allegations of sexual misconduct. Stringer strongly denies allegations from one woman and has been fighting them in court with a defamation lawsuit. He said he doesn't remember ever meeting another woman who subsequently came forward. He's also been out of the political game for a while. I mean, that's what he said. Next, Michael Blake. We haven't seen Michael in a while, but Michael Blake. He's the founder and CEO of Cairo's Democracy Project. He was a political consultant, and he's an associate pastor. His fundraising, $146,084 as of January 11th. He has an estimated $90,473 in the bank. He hasn't qualified for public matching funds. Where's his home? In Melrose, Bronx. What is he running on? He wants universal child care, a tax break for middle-class homeowners. He also wants to speed up government payments to nonprofits. What's holding him back? Blake has been out of office for a few years, and with a couple of unsuccessful campaigns, he's in danger of becoming a perennial candidate. Next is Jim Walden. Have you heard of him? No? Currently, he's a partner at Walden, Match, Horan, and Williams. His fundraising is $630,214 in private donations, $500,000 loan that he got out for his campaign, and he has not qualified for matching funds, and he's got about $900,000 in the bank for his campaign. And where's his home? In Brooklyn Heights in Brooklyn. And what is he running on? He wants to root out corruption in New York City. He wants to create jobs. He wants to tackle problems like housing production with public-private partnerships. And last but not least, have you heard of Whitney Tilson? No. She's currently an investor and editor at the Stansberry Research, an investment research firm. Her fundraising is at $424,968 in private donations as of January 11th, and she has $267,000 in the bank. He hasn't qualified for public funding yet either. Where is his home? He's on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. And what is he running on? He wants to reduce violent crime, grow the city's economy, and rein in excessive city government spending. What is holding him back? He has no experience in politics, low name recognition, and he's a millionaire, but not Bloomberg rich. So, I've given you all of the 9 candidates, and I'm going to take a few people to give me your thoughts. Do you believe, and I mean, well, we're very transparent here. Did you know, right? Do you believe that Eric Adams is still the front runner to some of you in your mind? And, you know, you could be honest with it. Or do you believe that we need to give somebody else a try?
I think that Brett Lander has a problem because he's so close to the public advocate. And I think that a lot of New Yorkers feel that the public advocate is too radical. And that if maybe he distanced himself. Who? Oh, the public advocate is Jumaane Williams.
Who will be the mayor if Eric Adams is removed? Go ahead.
Jumaane Williams.
Did y'all know that, young people?
I think that's another reason why they won't let him step down, because they don't want Jumaane Williams to be in that position at all, okay? So Brad Lander is very close to the public advocate. He's always using him to be with him, and I just think he needs to let him go, because without him, he might do better. But outside of that, I had heard that Cuomo was running for mayor. And so that list, I got like a different list, but he was campaigning at the Valentine's Day thing with Eddie Gibbs. So I don't know about that article, but I know that New York has some people acting like they running for mayor. And, you know, it's just interesting how they're not really talking about, they have men on the stage here, but they're not advocating for the things we push. So I think we should notice that too. I mean, come on, like what's going on? Why are they not in line with our goals? That's weird to me. You want us to vote for you, right? You want our backing. Where's the alignment? So I just look at that. I think it's really interesting because as y'all might know, with the mayor, he's already unaligned himself, but he keeps coming. He goes everywhere, so he's kind of bullyish with it, like a real police officer with NYPD. But it is what it is. It's just my opinion.
Anyone else want to give me their thoughts? Thank you, Coco. And y'all notice that I did not say the public advocate. And so, young people, the public advocate is the gentleman that if they do remove the mayor, if the governor removes the mayor, then he will become the mayor until he's elected. So that's who the public advocate is. And he's run before, but I don't see his name in this pool. Anyone else want to give me their thoughts? Would you still vote for Adams or would you not? Would you pick one of these other candidates? And I want you to listen to what they say their plan was. I really didn't hear much about gun violence. I didn't hear much about mental health. I didn't hear much about housing. I didn't hear much about anything. It's just, oh, they want to do it because they know that they want Eric Adams ousted. Anyone else want to give us your thoughts? Maybe it's one of you in here that will vote for Adam. Come up and tell us why. We're not going to get on you. This is a clear forum. Come on and tell the truth. Y'all don't have to be scared. Come on up. How many of you will vote for Adams? Tell the truth. Even despite everything that's going on. Let me see your hands again. You would still vote for Adams. Okay. I mean, I respect it. That's like 30% of the crowd. Can one of you come up and tell us why you would vote for him? You can stand up where you are and say it. It's fine. All right, you don't have to be on camera. You can tell us why you would vote for him. Okay, I respect your decision. Thank you. Tell us, Ernest.
I think that everyone deserves a fair chance. And all the bureaucracy that's going against him is trying to push him out and not giving him a chance. Now, if he was white, no offense to the white people, if he was white, no matter, okay, for instance, look at Trump. Okay? He got all those felons against him and all those charges against him, and he's the president of the United States. This Eric Adams is the mayor of New York City, and he don't even have half the stuff that Trump has, and Trump is the president. So Eric Adams deserves a chance just like everybody else, and if you want to be correct about it, just like Trump.
Well, let me say this, and thank you for your comment, but I also want to say that no matter how much people come in here and we want y'all to be in the right, on God with black power, a lot of y'all voted for Trump. So let's be honest. A lot of y'all went in there and said, oh no, I'm not going to vote for the felon. And y'all went and hit that lever and voted for Trump. So let's be real about that. But that's your choice, right? However, I'm standing on what Rev talked about, and he's been talking about it on his shows. He's been talking about it. At the end of the day, he believes, and I believe the same thing, that Mayor Adams is being blackmailed. And I would say because, like Rev said, he said that if Trump really thought he didn't do anything, Trump would have pardoned him. Like he pardoned the 106 people, right? All of those people that created so much harm and stuff. So, and it said without prejudice, right? Meaning that he can always come back and charge him with it after he's out of office. So we need Eric Adams. We know you watch Huddle because you was part of us on when we was virtual. We need you to wake up and think about it. What are you doing? At the end of the day, and this is my own personal opinion, I follow what Rev said. If Trump thought that you were innocent, he would have pardoned you. He has not done that. He just said, oh, we're going to let the DOJ and figure that out because we don't know if he's telling them that or if Musk is telling them that. We don't know who's who. Is J.D. Vance still vice president? Because we don't even know. And that's very honest. We haven't even seen him. All you see is Elon Musk. But y'all fail to realize that they just announced on Instagram that he just had his 13th child with the 13th woman or something, right? But nobody's talking about that. She said, well, since I could be safe and announce it, I just had my 13th child with Elon Musk. So instead of him doing what he needs to do, he just out here, they just waking up and just doing whatever they want to do. And at the end of the day, we need to support who y'all want to support, but look at the facts. And that's why we have Did You Knows. And that wraps up my Did You Know for the mayor of 2025.
Doc, and Doc again. Make sure you're registered to vote if you can vote, all right? Make sure you pay attention to what's going on in these elections. Make sure you understand who you're voting for, who you're not voting for, and the whole process, because it matters. Even though it's a lot of political nonsense and a lot of games happening, it impacts all of our lives. So it really, really does matter. And when they come here on this stage and talk to us, we need to hold them accountable. And when they come to convention and we have the Q&A part, that's the time when we need to really engage and ask the questions that we want to ask, because that's what the convention is for us to have, really talk to them and challenge them, and not just ramble on random things, talk about specific things, specific legislation, exactly what they're doing and exactly what we want for them. Amen? All right, to close out today, we have our closing prayer. Streets doing our closing prayer? Okay, I think Patrice is going to close us out in prayer, but today we're going to end in celebration. We're going to celebrate our birthdays in February. We have a few. Cheryl Chapman, I know, has to leave first, so we're going to call you from the back. Miss Chapman. JT Charlinger, his birthday is on Saturday. We're going to call you from the back. Lisa, we just celebrated your birthday. We're going to call you up because we didn't have your cake. Is anybody else here that was from February? I know Ron is after, he's not here, Coordinator Ron. One of y'all last week said that your birthday was coming. Was it you? Come on. Come on. Anybody else? Any other February birthdays?
Yeah, Jay.
Who? And before we sing happy birthday, Mama, you can come and lead happy birthday for us, because I'm not in good voice. Yes. But before we close out, I forgot earlier with good news. When I was in caucus this past weekend in Albany, for me the greatest part, it was speaking. That was beautiful. That was an incredible experience. But for me, the greatest part was seeing Ousmane Diallo. Ousmane Diallo was basically a graduate of Huddle, alumni of Huddle, and he grew up here, and he went to college, SUNY Albany, graduated, started working with Assemblyman Al Taylor, and I literally walked into him in the building. He was working. He is now the director of legislation for Al Taylor, and he lives in Albany, and he is doing a heck of a job. I was so proud of him, and I was so excited to see him. I was almost in tears. Like, it was great to see him, and also Naila Idari. For those who have been here a long time ago, she was original Huddler. She started here in high school, went to Barnard College, graduated. She traveled and worked in D.C. and all over in government, but now she's back in New York City in Actum, and she was also there working as a VP with Actum, which is Rachel Nordlinger. She's a partner for that company. So salute to Naila and salute to Ousmane. I love to see the growth of our young people thriving in great spaces, and that's what it's all about for me. So to all glory be to God. Now, all right, we got 2 cakes. Come on, y'all birthday people. Let's go. Come on. Nope, you coming on this side. Come on, birthday cakes. Come on, Jay. Stop hiding behind Lisa. Come on, Jay. Okay, whatever. Come on, Miss Chapman. Step into the front. We love y'all. We would not be Huddle without y'all. Thank you for being here day in and day out, when it's one of us or 12 of us or 50 of us. So thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for your love. Thank you for believing in the vision. Thank you for believing in the Huddle. Thank you for believing in Nan, and thank you for just being here and being y'all. Each and every last one of y'all are special in your own way, and add your special ingredient to this soup and to this place. And like I said, it would not be the same excuse me, Mommy, it would not be the same without y'all. So happy birthday. We love y'all, our Aquarians and our Pisces. We love y'all, all right? Mommy, happy birthday
To you and you and you and you too. Happy birthday to all of y'all. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you and you and you too. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Come on, girls. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. And we love you. And we love you. All right.
Thank you, and let's eat. Good night, those who are watching online. Thanks for tuning in.